Best-selling author and American psychologist Mary Pfeiffer said this: "We live in a world filled with language. Language imparts identity, meaning, and perspective to our human community. Writers are either polluters or part of the cleanup team. Just as the language of power and greed has the potential to destroy us, the language of reason and empathy has the power to save us. Writers can inspire a kinder, fairer, more beautiful world, or invite selfishness, stereotyping, and violence. Writers can unite people or divide them." In this book show podcast, host, confidence coach Susan Axelrod asks women authors a simple question: which kind of writer are you? She invites each guest to step into the confidence zone to proclaim how her book can inspire. If you are seeking inspiration to create your legacy, take out your pen and pad. Your book, My Time, starts now.
Hello, friends. Wow, I am excited about this book show episode. Today, we're going to be talking about one of my most favorite topics, soul. The book today is called Soul Primer: Building Blocks of the Soul. The author is Cate Schultz. But before I bring Cate on, I just have to tell you, this book is not just amazing, it's beautiful. In this moment in time, holding this book literally can soothe your autonomic nervous system. It's if you hold this book and you understand the tool that it is for you, your soul, your nervous system can literally become more grounded. I want to read just the first short paragraph. I don't usually do this, but I really feel like this says it all. It's brief. The world as we know it is rapidly changing. There is a paradigm shift happening that is accelerating the evolution of the human species. People are moving away from the old ways of darkness. We are becoming aware that the foods and pills and beliefs fostered by ignorance, advertising, and greed are killing us. Deep down, we know there is a better way. We see examples of people who seem to have figured it out, who have somehow become enlightened. They don't seem to work as hard or suffer as much as others. They're healthier. Their eyes are brighter. They make it look easy to achieve amazing things. What do they know that we don't? So friends, I promise you the answer is in this book. Hi, Cate. Good to see you.
Hi, Susan. Nice to see you. Thank you for that lovely intro. Yeah, that's the question. What do they know that we don't?
Yeah,
It's hard for us to learn, I'll tell you that much.
I know. I honestly cannot wait for this conversation because I've gotten to know you over these years. I've read your book. I have it here as a resource, and I'm going to love the middle part of our conversation. But before we get to that, I want to ask you to share with us, what is the story behind the story of this soul primer?
Well, okay, boy, it's a long story, but I'll try to make it short. So first of all, I come from a very large, underprivileged family. And in growing up, I watched my sisters become teenage mamas and drop out of school and do drugs and marry abusive men. And I watched my brothers live lives of depression and sadness. And I just knew that I didn't want to have a life like that. So I learned how to transform myself out of suffering into thriving. And I practiced that enough that I became really good at it in a lot of different ways. Been very successful in my life in the business world. I'm a private instrument and commercial pilot. I mean, I've traveled the world. I've done a lot of things, not because I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, but because I learned how to transform myself out of suffering. So I started life coaching to share that with other people. And I realized it was going to take a really long time for me to reach 8 billion people, to help everyone transform out of suffering so that we could have not just everybody living, blessed and abundant lives, but also to have a world that was transformed. And so I thought I need to make a book I need to make it accessible to everybody, not some big expensive program. Just a book. It's so easy, a book. And so that was my goal. That's how it was born. I want everybody to be successful, to thrive, to live the most abundant life possible, and to make it as easy as possible for them to do that.
I mean, honestly, this is the soul's purpose. You've articulated it so well. So I really want to say, I'm writing notes here. I learned how to transform myself out of suffering. So I believe words matter. I'm also a writer, etc. I learned how to transform myself out of suffering. And then you said again, I want to help people learn how to transform out of suffering. I'm repeating these words, Cate, because sometimes words like these, a phrase, a concept, really needs to be affirmed over and over. And Cate, to be honest and clear, people are suffering. Now, it doesn't matter what exact day, month, and year this is that people are watching this video, the evolution of where we are in humanity and on the planet, which you said, I read it, the words in your introduction, really has people suffering. And so your goal with this book was to make it accessible, easy. We're going to get to that. And really available to people to learn how to transform themselves out of suffering. I love this.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. This book came out in 2020, right when COVID hit. So it was a weird situation where I, didn't really have access to bookstores or anything to carry this book. And, but it fell into the hands of Deepak Chopra. He said that this could be the ticket to changing our world. And that's what I believe. I loved having that affirmed by someone who is so knowledgeable and revered as Deepak Chopra. But as I continued on, I realized that I wanted to go another level. And I know we'll talk about this, but to create the children's version of it. Because I had adults that were reading it all around the world and saying, oh my God, this is changing my life. I'm sharing it with my 4-year-old and my 8-year-old, my 6-year-old. And so they asked me to create a children's book. So I did it as well, which Susan, I haven't sent you yet. It's just,
I know, I can't wait to get it.
Soul Primer for Kids. And it is so beautiful that it makes me cry, because it's the type of thing that every child in our world needs to hear. And, the thing is, when you think of what's happening in the world right now, when you think of the war and you think of the trauma that so many people are going through, and the hate and the anger and the aggression and the discrimination, and these children that's what they see, that's what they're being raised with. And unfortunately, broken adults, I think we all know the saying, hurt people hurt other people. Hurt people hurt people. Hurt people hurt people, right? And I think broken people raise broken children. And I think what we need to do is not have broken children in the world. If we ever want to have the world that we imagine of peace and harmony, we have to start with the children. Usually we have to start with the adults who are willing to start with their children. So that's a lot to talk about.
That's actually why I kept repeating transforming myself out of suffering. So, yeah. And really, I just want to say, I think that probably there's a lot of people who think, you don't know what I have going on. I can't, this is too bad. I'll never transform myself out of it. But you're creating the kids' book. It is so genius. It's so beautiful. I didn't get my copy, but I was with our mutual friend, Cornelia Stephanie, and I saw it, from her in person. And, I just love this, but before we get to the most beautiful part about this, which we just talked about in the green room for a minute, I want to really hit on something here. The modality of this book uses the alphabet. And so you're using a construct that is familiar. As a writer myself, Cate, I know what it's like to sit with your pad and pen maybe, or on your laptop with the blank pages. Okay, you begin a construct, it begins to fill in, but then you have choices to make,
Yeah.
constantly have choices to make. Do I want to say that? Do I want to say this? How will this be received? And in particular, this particularly applies in this book, because when you use the alphabet, you have a letter and there could be many words for that one letter. And so I want to like really deeply acknowledge, and I'm a writer, like I really understand what it feels like to sit and choose. That's what one of the things I think is so powerful about the book was you're putting your energy in, and you just told us the story of how you literally transformed yourself. So I can't think of anything like more real and more impactful than that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like you
Yeah.
experienced what you experienced, then you went through the writer's process. There was no, in those days, there was no, chat GBT or whatever. You don't just get stuff out of somebody else's mind.
Yeah.
You sat and you fed in from your own experiences. So am I making too much of this, or was it not easy to
No,
choose the
no,
words?
no. Actually, I'm so grateful you're mentioning that because the thing is about people look at this book and it's like it is just this is the adults version, which is slightly looks different than yours a little bit because I just revised it this year.
Yeah.
Um, Equally beautiful, even more so. But so here's the thing: people look at it and they go, "Oh, it's an ABC book. That's simple. It's so simple." But you can't let the simplicity disarm you from the power of it. It's actually more powerful because of its simplicity. And you're right. For each of the letters, I had to select something. I mean, abundance or A could have been 5 or 6 or 10 different things, and I chose abundance for A. And I tried to
Yeah.
balance out with the other items for the other letters. But the hardest thing is that it's one page of text for each letter. So it's
Yeah.
very difficult to take such huge concepts and boil them down. I mean, that's where the writer's skill comes in, because really the power of writing is in brevity. But brevity is way hard. It's way easier to talk about something 3 or 4, a whole book long, but to make it one page and still make it powerful,
Yes.
not easy. Yeah. So
Yes. So,
there's that. And I just want to say one more thing about that because it's important because you mentioned Chat GPT. Sure. Now, if you fed my format into Chat GPT, maybe they could make something similar. But here's the difference. Every one of these letters, because they were vast letters like empathy, I've made empathy down to one page and I wanted it to be as powerful as possible. So I meditated a lot and I would get stuck. I'd read some and I'd like, how do I make this smaller? How do I make it smaller? And I'd meditate more. So meditation was built into this. So there's a deep connection to source was built into every single one of these
oh my God.
pages,
I mean,
which
I'm
is,
telling
it's a
you,
connection to the soul, not connection to some database somewhere.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
like the definition of my word ridiculous. It's so good. It's so good. So for example, M is for meditation, and it says meditation will change your life. It's that simple. So just to
And
let
it is.
our listeners know that after the one page of text, which you distilled, right? You distilled it
Yeah.
down through what? Q for quietness, right? Then there's an ongoing goal for each one. So I really loved Q for quietness because quiet was something that I had to break through myself, being a type A, listening to my own thoughts, and so on and so on and so on. And so it says quietness is a precious commodity. And then the ongoing goal, gradually increase your quiet breaks to longer and longer periods and continue to record how the silence affects your well-being in a variety of ways. If I had had this, it would have been much easier for me. Like the guidance that you brought in, right?
Yeah.
You brought in guidance, you infused it here. Now I get to manage it. And then there's like beautiful artwork. So there's beautiful artwork embedded from various artists. And so this is how this goes. And I really wanted to acknowledge the infusion, the infusion that you gave it, which now you just revealed came from your own quietness and your own meditation and your
Yeah.
intentionality to keep things brief. I really want to thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And it's interesting because, again, sometimes I like, okay, well, quietness. I mean, I didn't invent any of the words, obviously. I just, as you say, distilled them down to a really manageable practice. And it really is in the practice. Quietness is nothing new. Okay, it's good to be quiet. Probably everybody's heard that before. But the thing is, it's the practice. It's the system here that's in this book that helps us learn how to practice it so that we incorporate it into our daily lives. And there's 26 practices because there's 26 letters of the alphabet, and each one has a practice. And it's almost like we take the tapestry of wellness, and I've unraveled each of the threads of wellness, and I'm helping us practice each one at a time. And when you weave them all together, it creates a transformed life.
It's ridiculous.
That's the magic. Yeah.
It's so
That's
good.
the magic. And for kids, I mean, quietness for kids, same deal. And it's 2 minutes practice the thing. It's for like 8 to 13-year-olds, although as Susan and I were chatting, adults love this book too. And adults using this book with kids is super powerful. But for a child, I'm babysitting my grandson right now, and they're like so energetic. But you know what? To learn even at an early age to practice just 2 minutes. Maybe we start with just 30 seconds. We set a timer.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to be quiet for just, that's a beautiful thing for a child to learn, to help them manage their lives.
It's a skill. It's a skill. I interviewed a neurologist recently on a podcast, and this is Mr. Western trained medical doctor neurologist. He happens to also be a holistic person. And at the end of his podcast, as I always say, do you have a call to action? What would you suggest people do? And the very first thing he said, not like pop pills, find medicine, this, that. No, nothing like that. He said, the first thing I suggest people do is spend time alone. That's what he said. And here you have this built in. So, Cate, I always move to the title of my show, Your Book, My Time. And I ask the question, why is your book worth my time? Now, we've already really begun to answer this question, but there's one thing that you just shared with me before we came on. I think that is seminal today. It's vital for busy, stressed, overwhelmed, anxious people. And I want to invite you to share with us, why do you think your book is worth my time?
Yeah. So, the spirituality world is full of opportunities to go take 3-day webinars or go on a week-long retreat or do these programs. And I'm not saying they're not worth it, but most of us don't have the time. And particularly the busy workers and parents and stuff of the world who really need to have these things as much or more than any of us. Most of us don't have the time or the money, perhaps, to do all of those things. And so what I love about this program, this system, this book, is that it's one book and it's so easy. It's just so easy. It's like, I like your word, Susan. It's ridiculous how easy it is, how effortless it is. It's not like, you read one page of text a week, because as a life coach, I have to tell you, I used to ask people to read this book or that book, right? And then I'd ask them, did you read this book or that book? And they'd say, oh, well, I read a couple pages or I read a chapter or what, who's got time? So to read one page of text, let's say every Sunday, you practice that easy exercise every day that week. It doesn't take any time. Let's say B is for beauty, if I can use that example. Beauty is not about being beautiful. It's about seeing beauty in everyone that we meet. So your exercise after you read the one page of text, your exercise that week is to each day of that week make a walk through the mall, through your office, through the school, whatever, where you are intentionally looking at every single person that you pass and you're intentionally seeing them as beautiful. Doesn't matter what they look like on the outside. You're intentionally seeing them as a beautiful soul in whatever body, whatever life they're inhabiting at this moment. I'm seeing beyond that. And I just have to do that once a day. You're gonna on that walk anyway. You're just taking a couple extra seconds to look at people differently. So it's just so effortless and easy that anybody can do it. I think that's why it's worth everybody's time.
I literally, I just got, I just got heart palpitations in response because I'm very, you and I were very deeply soul connected people. Not that we're not
Yeah.
surface too, but like in a conversation like this, we're in a soul connected conversation.
Yeah.
My heart,
Yeah.
the heart is electrical. It carries electrical
Yeah.
magnetic frequencies. When you said that thing to look at the people, I swear to God, I felt that in my heart. But anyway, let me move on from that and say also a tool in the book, in addition to the what I just shared as the ongoing goal, your assignment is a daily reminder. So since
Yes.
Cate brought up beauty, the daily reminder of beauty says, I see beyond a person's physical attributes and recognize the beauty that lies within each of us. So that would be an example of a daily reminder. So, Cate, I totally want to say, I totally have to say this. I would literally have every person buy 2 copies of this book and put it in both bathrooms in their house. If you're lucky enough to have more, if you only have one, I swear, you may do this too as a coaching modality. I call it bathroom meditation. You're sitting there
Yeah.
anyway. And I talk about this with my clients. This is an active, it's brief. You've got 30 seconds, 60 seconds. What are you doing? Most of us now have their phone there in the bathroom, scrolling,
Yeah.
whatever. I love this. Excuse me for saying, I don't know if that's offensive to you, but I honestly love this for a bathroom book because you are right. Everyone, here's one of my favorite ones. F is for fearlessness, right? And you've got your daily reminder, you've got your beautiful picture, you've got your ongoing goal. So does that offend you?
No, not at all. In fact, I love that. And I mean, I've heard now that it's been out a few years, the original one, the revised one's new, but that people have sometimes some people keep it right by their bed. And Jack Canfield, who said he read every page of it and loved it so much, he said it's the type of book I just want to keep by my bed and open up, before I go to
Yeah.
sleep. One guy told a story of having it at his breakfast table. So as he ate breakfast Sunday morning, he'd read that page on, over cereal, right? And he said, he actually told me, you know what, I was going to start a business, and then I don't, it's you and I who have started businesses, Susan. You know that it's always like, oh God, I don't know, should I, will it work? So he said, I was thinking I was going to, and then I decided not to. And then he said, I had your book open on D. D is for divinity, and I'll read you the poem there. It is, I am a beautiful divine soul with immense power. I am a spirit on a journey that cannot be contained. I am whole and healed from the traumas and wounds of this life. My powers are being called, and I can no longer play small. So this guy says, I had this open on my breakfast table and I read that. And he said, I was like, I'm going to go do it. I'm going to go start that business. And you know what? It was the third highest producing Kickstarter of all time. He made millions on that business from that poem.
I mean,
So
that
it's laced with soul. This book is laced with soul and stitched in power for you, for every reader to have access to.
Yeah, I love that. for every reader to have access to. So let's just call out, you brought up D for divinity. So one thing that you're clear on is divinity in your construct is universal. We're not trying to
Yes.
exclude,
Yeah.
separate this, that, no either or, it's and.
Yeah.
So you chose the word divinity, and some people may have their own thoughts about that. But your if I'm getting it right, you can let me know. Your use of divinity is sort of a universalist use of this
Yes.
word, and also apparently for you, since you chose to include it, an important part of your transformation. That there's some faith, maybe in something greater than you
Yeah.
outside of yourself.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump to the children's book to answer that. So in the children's book, I debated leaving D as for divinity, and I've had so many people say, "Oh my God, this is so great for teachers. It should be in the classrooms." And I thought, who knows if it could ever get into curriculum because I put D as for divinity, but I felt that that was important. And I say in this book, divinity is a word to describe the light that lives inside of me. So it is non-religious. It's all, it's all encompassing. It's basically the acknowledgement that we're more than just physical beings. I mean, anybody who's ever seen someone die realizes once that light is gone, there's nothing left. It's just a shell, it's just a body. So what is that thing? What's that special light? And, different religions call it different things. This is not religious. It's appropriate for all religions. It's just a word I use to describe the light, whatever it is that's in our soul, right?
I
So
mean, yeah, I love this. I love this, and the light in the soul is so precious. And to tell you the truth, with the way we live today, with media perpetration, social media, tech involvement, that's the reality of our lives. And I'm not going to diss it. I use it. I appreciate it. I've gained from it. But spending time out in nature is part of what really stokes and sparks that light, which is the word you chose for N, right? Nature, for
yeah,
obvious reasons. And so,
yeah,
yeah, I really love this. I want to ask you now, what do you want people to do as a result of, you know, having and
yeah.
really, I say, using this book?
Well, okay, I really believe that if every single person on the planet, I mean, I want you to imagine, actually, what I want you to do is imagine for a minute. Imagine that everyone on the planet is walking in abundance, recognizing the goodness of life, practicing empathy and kindness to each other, practicing openness to other people, and practicing acts of service to other parts of the community. If everybody was practicing and walking in just these few ways, would we have a different world? I mean, I think anybody
Indeed.
would say it would be a different world. So I want us to, I want us all to understand that we have the power to change our lives. And we have the power to change the lives of all children, even the ones in, war-torn countries. I'm not going to name any of them, but we all know war-torn countries. Every child needs to be told these things if we want to have a healed world someday. And we have the power to transform the world. I believe we have the power to transform the world into one of peace and harmony for all. I believe that we have the power. I've demonstrated in my life. I've seen people tell me that this book has helped them get to that point where they are walking in their own power. So, what I want everyone to do is to join in, to turn that page, turn the first page, turn it to A is for abundance, and start the practices that will help you and the children in your life and in your world transform our world. So that would be as simple as the simple thing is going to my website and starting with a book. It's the
Yeah.
cheapest, easiest transformation you'll ever have. So I have a special on my website that's a parent-child bundle. Be awesome if you would, every single person on the planet would buy that. That's my fantasy.
Yeah.
Buy the
Yeah.
parent-child bundle and start reading the book yourself and doing it with the child. Some adults buy the children book for themselves because it's fun, it's easy, it's colorful. So that's my ask for the world. Let's all join together to create a world of peace and harmony for all of us.
Wow, that's like a prayer and a blessing. I mean, honestly, the simplicity of using arguably, maybe inarguably, the most simple construct that nearly 100% of humanity knows in their own language. There is an alphabet of some sort. There are letters in most languages. The construct of the idea of it is very simple. And I just want to take a moment to say, we live in the app world. Maybe there'll be an app for this someday. But to tell you the truth, some of us realize the benefit, the blessing, the beauty of having a book in our hands, sitting as a parent with your child, holding a book in your hands, reading with the child or sitting on the floor. You said that Jack Canfield said to you, I was a teacher also, as you were, Cate. And he said, I wish that I had had this book on my desk when I was a teacher to integrate it into my engagement with the children. You pick up a book, you open it up, you show the picture, you read the letter, you talk about the things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's true. He did say that, and because we were talking about, getting it into curriculum, and he said, some smaller schools and stuff will probably allow it. The bigger schools, it's really hard to get anything approved for curriculum, as we all know. But that's what he said. He said, I sure wish I had had this on my desk. And I was thinking about that myself because my first year of teaching was at a low income, high minority, inner city, pretty troubled middle school. So it was not an easy place to teach. And if I had had this on the corner of my desk, hey, teachers out there, if I had had this on the corner of my desk each Friday, I would have opened it up and said, hey, let's talk about empathy. Let's do this exercise. There's a fun exercise for empathy. Actually, it's an empathy charades. Can I share it with you real quick? For children.
Yeah, of course.
And it's basically you write down a list of feelings, cut them up into pieces, put them in a jar. One player picks a feeling out of the jar and then he has to act it out. And the other kids have to
Wow.
guess what he's feeling, right? That's empathy. Guess what he's feeling and then offer an appropriate behavior. So like, for example, if he's acting, I'm sad, or, crying, whatever, then they go up and they offer him a hug or whatever it might be that would be appropriate for that emotion. So it's really, there's, this simple to more sophisticated exercises in this book. But I mean, honestly, the middle schoolers in that class at school that I taught in, I would have loved to have had something like this sitting on my desk, just some exercises to do with them to help develop their emotional intelligence. Right.
I mean, when we first started talking to prepare for this podcast discussion, and you told me that you were a middle school teacher, and then you said children ages 8 to 13. Again, as you know, I had an electrical response. I'm not kidding. I'm talking about EMFs now. I'm talking about the frequency with which we live because frequencies are being dimmed down by other tech things and whatever. I had a response in my soul that said, my gosh, the ages 8 to 13. I mean, any parent of an 8 to 13-year-old is just living in a sort of desperate devastation. And in my day with my kids at 8 to 13, there was no phones. There was barely
Yeah.
flip phones. There was certainly no
Yeah.
smart technology. The internet had been invented. There was email and so
Yeah.
on, but there were just the beginning of searches when they were 8 years old. But even then I was in devastated desperation to, grow good humans. And so, for P, you have presence.
Yeah.
And the idea in
Yeah.
Qigong, I teach Qigong and we teach presencing. I mean, it's so good. So Cate, I'm going
Yeah,
to bring this to
presence. There's so many practices for how to be present, and I realize, you're right. Technology isn't such now that our kids are on their phone all the time. I think we can all agree that's not ideal. And as parents, it's hard to. Well, how do I get them off their phone? I mean, I used to do certain things with my kids, but anyway, this is a book that you can say, okay, let's spend a half an hour going over this book, and let's do one of these exercises.
I
So
mean,
yeah,
also,
go
I
ahead.
want to
Yeah,
say that there's the Sunday breakfast of the guy you mentioned. I said there's the bathroom, but
yeah,
also one of the most fraught times is for parents with families of 8 to 13-year-olds is like the pre-dinner hour. People are supposed
yeah,
to have been doing homework or playing, and then you got to get them to sit, if you even sit and have dinner. So this would be a time that I could really see, if you're making dinner, is it fantasy land to say that, hey, somebody pull out the book and give me a letter, let's talk about it? I don't know. Like, I want to
yeah,
keep it real here, Kate. Parents are
yeah,
coming in from work themselves, but if there's a
yeah,
resource,
yeah.
that they could use, it would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, ideally, that's a beautiful scenario where it is parent led. Or again, I mean, I get it. That pre dinner hour, they're hungry, they're waiting. When's dinner going to be ready? I'll tell you what. And the idea is, again, it's a practice and a habit. I mean, if you just do it once, you're going to, I don't want to do that. But if you say every whatever, Monday before dinner, every Monday and Wednesday before dinner, we open up this book. You guys look at the book for a half hour while I make dinner, and you can read it to
Right,
me, and
right,
we can talk about it, right?
right.
So yeah, I
Yeah,
mean that's for nuclear families that have parents that are
right.
making
Nuclear
dinners. There's lots
families,
of
right?
kids that don't, but what they can benefit from this. Kids like to read, so
Yeah,
there's so many different ways it can be used, and
yeah.
I think it's a bonus if we're getting them off the screens for a while and looking at a
Yeah, I
book.
really want to say I'm very excited about this. Thank you for taking your time. I want to say thank you for the work, the time, the commitment, the focus, the discipline that it took to get these books done. People, if they're not writers, they don't know what I'm talking about, but I know what it takes. And I really want to acknowledge that and thank you for that. And yeah, we'll continue this conversation. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Well, thank you, Susan. I appreciate that. And it's true. It is a lot of work. I didn't write these books to be famous or to make money. I really wrote them to make the world a better place. And so please go to my website, buy yourself a book, buy one for your kids. I also have the opportunity to sign up for groups. I mean, my vision is that we start building community with people in every setting, whether it's in the community or in our schools or in our jobs, where we're connecting on these things that matter, right? So again, I just want to say, we have the power to make a difference, and we can step out in that power. And this is a good tool for us to be able to do this. So let's do it. Let's do it. I mean, really, my hope for humanity rests in each of you. Let's do it.
Let's do
Thanks,
it.
Susan.
Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, Kate. Thank you so much. Thanks again for everything. And I will look forward to continuing the conversation.
Okay, thanks, Susan. Talk to you soon. Bye
Take
bye.
good care.